Well, President Trump's choice to become Secretary of State barely clearing the Senate Foreign Relations Committee along party lines. The White House claims Democrats are dragging out the process.
Look, at some point, Democrats have to decide whether they love this country more than they hate this president. And they have to decide that they want to put the safety and the security and the diplomacy of our country ahead of their own political games.
Democrats like Joe Donnelly, Heidi Heitkamp, and Joe Manchin all facing intense pressure from their base not to work with Republicans, despite their public pledges for now to vote for Pompeo on the Senate floor. Well, Senator Mike Rounds, a Republican who sits on the Armed Services Committee and the Veterans Affairs Committee as well, joins us live. Let's start there, Senator. Great to have you with us tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity.
What can you tell us about the holdup with Dr. Jackson's nomination to head up the VA?
Chairman Isaacson had a phone conversation with a lot of us around the committee over the weekend, indicated that there had been some unsubstantiated allegations made, and he wants to do it right. We told him that if he wanted to delay the meeting, that was fine with us. We most certainly want to get all the facts out. We have to do our due diligence. Personally, I had a meeting in my office with the Admiral. He presents himself very well. But at the same time, as members of the committee, we've got to do our due diligence, and that's what we'll be doing.
And this has been such a fraught agency and department with plenty of bipartisan agreement that there have to be better answers for our veterans.
No question about it. Look, this is 360,000 individuals, and the question is, are they going to run the secretary, or is the secretary going to run them? And in this particular case, we want to make sure we've got the right person for the job, and this should be focused on what the veterans need, and this is what we want to do, is get focused back on what our veterans need, what their care conditions are, and so forth, and get it away from the VA and back focusing on what the VA should be doing, which is taking care of our veterans.
That's what we owe them, absolutely. We can all agree on that. Okay, so let's talk about another important nomination. CIA Director Mike Pompeo making it through barely the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and they worked out a little deal because Senator Isaacson was missing earlier. They could have waited until about now to vote on him, but they worked out a deal so that he passes on to the Senate. But there's still a number of critics. Senator Tim Kaine saying this, and he voted for him as CIA Director just a few months ago, but now saying, just like I don't want to vote for anti-science people to be the head of science agencies or anti-education people to be head of education agencies, I don't want to vote for people who are anti-diplomatic, and that seems to be how he's characterizing the director.
Well, with all due respect, I think Mike Pompeo was the right guy for the job. You know, when he had his nomination and his vote when he was going to become the CIA Director, we had 66 votes in favor. That was 14 Democrats that thought that he was capable of being the director of the CIA. Look, he was first in his class at West Point. This is a guy that's been, this is a guy who has proven himself to be a reasonable individual. He thinks things through very, very well. He has the president's ear, and he understands the direction that the president wants to go. Mike Pompeo is the right guy for this job.
Well, we'll see as it moves on now to the full Senate. In the meantime, one of the things he's going to have to deal with is this conversation with the president about this upcoming deadline on the Iran nuclear deal. The French president is here. It's something they're going to talk about. The French want us, obviously, to stay as part of that deal. Here's what the French President Macron said to our own Chris Wallace about this.
Is this agreement perfect, and this JCPOA a perfect thing for our relationship with Iran? No. But for nuclear, what do you have as a better option? I don't see it.
And he's saying basically you should stay in the agreement, try to modify it, and not walk away from it because there isn't a better backup plan. What do you think?
Well, the other side of it is we've given up most of ours already. And so in this particular case, there's not a lot we can do. What he's talking about here, really, there's a lot of truth in it. And so we can talk about getting out of it, but what do we have to gain at this stage of the game? We've already delivered the funds. They've already been using the funds that were there. This was not a good deal in the first place. The president is absolutely correct. It was a bad deal, but it's a deal that's been made, and we've delivered a lot of resources to them already.
So worse to walk away or worse to stay?
Well, right now, what do we have to lose at this stage of the game? Because they have to, if they're going to honor the agreement today, then fine. If they're not, what do we have to lose? Because we've already delivered to them. We've already made promises to them that we've delivered on. Cash is in their hands. This was a case in which we were paying up front, and now they have to deliver on their promises.
All right. Senator Rounds, thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
Great to have you with us.
Appreciate the opportunity.